Red toxic sludge spreads to the Danube River. Toxic red sludge that burst out of a metals plant reservoir reached the mighty river Danube on Thursday. The European Union and environmental officials had feared an environmental catastrophe affecting half a dozen nations if and when the red toxic sludge, a waste product of making aluminum, contaminates the 1,775-mile Danube, the second longest in Europe. The reservoir break on Monday disgorged a toxic torrent into local creeks that flow into waterways connected to the Danube. Creeks in Kolonatar, the closest town to the spill site, and some 45 miles south of the Danube, were swollen ochre red or blood red on Wednesday, and villagers said they were devoid of fish. The red toxic sludge reached the western branch of the Danube early Thursday. An Hungarian official did not address concerns that the caustic slurry might contain toxic metals, but said its pH content had been reduced to the point where it was unlikely, or hopefully, unable to cause further damage to the environment. But they really don't know for sure. The pH content, which officials earlier said was at a highly alkaline 13 on a scale of 0 to 14, was now under 10, and so far no dead fish had been spotted where the red toxic mud was entering the Danube. The National Disaster Management Directorate, in a separate statement, said the pH value was at 9.3 and decreasing. Normal pH levels for surface water range from 6.5 to 8.5. Waterways devastated, but the red toxic sludge devastated the less mighty Markau River. Life in the Markau River has been extinguished, referring to a 25-mile stretch of the river that carried the red waste. Emergency crews were pouring plaster and acetic acid vinegar into the Danube meeting point to lower the toxic slurry's pH value. The main effort is now being concentrated on the Danube. That's what has to be saved. So far, the lack of immediate environmental damage to the Danube is by no means a victory declaration, cautioning that dead fish could still turn up shortly. Very possibly. South of Hungary, the Danube flows through Serbia, Romania, Bulgaria, Croatia, Ukraine, before emptying into the Black Sea. At the Croatian village of Batina, the first site after the Danube leaves Hungary, experts were taking water samples, which they will repeat daily for the next week. In Romania, water levels were reported safe on Thursday, with testing being carried out every 3 hours. The Danube water had a pH of 8.5, which was within normal levels, but tests were still being done to check for heavy metals. The Hungarian Prime Minister visited the 3 villages coated by the red sludge on Thursday and declared the worst-hit area a write-off, saying he sees no sense in rebuilding in the same location again. It is difficult to find the words. Had this happened at night, everybody would be dead, he told reporters. He also stated that the disaster could not have been due to natural causes. This is an unprecedented ecological catastrophe in Hungary. Human error is more than likely. The wall of the reservoir did not disintegrate in a minute. This should have been detected. Local officials said at least 34 homes in Kolonatar were unlivable. However, furious residents said the catastrophe had destroyed the whole community of 800 by making their land worthless. A dead town. Angry villagers gathered outside the mayor's office and berated a senior official of the Hungarian Aluminum Production and Trade Company that owns the alumina plant, demanding compensation. The whole settlement should be bulldozed into the ground. There's no point for anyone to go back. Those who can will move out of Kolenata. From now on, this is a dead town. Others relived their experience in the deluge. I hung in the sludge for 45 minutes. It had a strong current that almost swept me away, but I managed to hang on to a strong piece of wood, said one of the residents. But I could hardly breathe because that air, that smell, that froth really hit me. Disaster crews, military personnel, and villagers continued to clear away rubble and search for the missing people. It is still not known exactly why part of the reservoir collapsed. Authorities have ordered a criminal inquiry into the accident, which injured at least 120 and left 3 people missing, in addition to the 4 fatalities known to have died. It is estimated the torrent included at least 35 million cubic feet of toxic red sludge or waste. A spokeswoman for the National Police said investigators would look into whether on-the-job carelessness was a factor, or perhaps negligence. The huge reservoir, more than 1,000 feet by 1,500 feet, was no longer leaking, and a triple-tiered protective wall was being built around its damaged section. Guards have been posted at the breach to give an early warning in case of any new emergency. Water supplies may be affected. The red sludge spill is one of the top 3 environmental disasters in Europe in the last 20 or 30 years, said a spokesman for Greenpeace International. In other words, there's never been anything quite like this before. The International Commission for the Protection of the Danube, which manages the river and its tributaries, said the sludge spill could trigger long-term damaging effects for both wildlife and humans. It is a very serious accident and has potential implications for other countries, Philip Weller, the group's executive secretary, said from Brussels. Weller said factories and towns along the Danube may have to shut down their water intake systems. He said large fish in the Danube could ingest any heavy metals carried downstream, potentially endangering people who eat them. Red sludge is a byproduct of the refining of bauxite into alumina, the basic material for manufacturing aluminum. Treated sludge is often stored in ponds where the water eventually evaporates, leaving behind a dried red clay-like soil. Alumina plants are scattered around the world, with the 12 largest concentrated in Australia, Brazil, and China. The plant in Hungary ranks 53rd in the world in production, according to industry statistics. And, again, there's something much bigger going on here. In other words, how many toxic oil or chemical spills, massive spills, can you have in less than a year or a little over 5 months' time? Everything is connected and everything is numbered. Everything that must change quickly or rapidly, and for the better. Because again, these are more signs of the end times, transition days, which is a continuing day-by-day process. Revelation chapter 8, verse 6. And the 7 angels, which had the 7 trumpets, prepared themselves to sound. 7 first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of the trees was burnt up, and all the green grass was burnt up. 8. And the second angel sounded, and as it were, a great mountain, burning with fire, was cast into the sea. And the third part of the sea became as blood. 9. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died. And the third part of the ships were destroyed. 10. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of waters. 11. And the name of the star is called Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many humans died of the waters, because they were made bitter and toxic. 12. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened. And the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. 13. And I beheld, and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the 3 angels, which are yet to sound. And these are more signs happening all around the world, day by day.